to go work for Nick Saban, you do that. Now, Oklahoma State, we knew that there would be a new defensive coordinator. There is co-defensive coordinators. What they're doing, Joe Bob Clements has been promoted the co-defensive coordinator from the staff of Mike Gundy, but Bryan Nardo, who spent last year at Division II Gannon University, is also now co-defensive coordinator. Tim Duffy, the defensive backs coach, becomes the defensive passing game coordinator. And now a couple of notes about Nardo. He's coached at Youngstown State, Emporia State. He's coached as a GA at Ohio U. Gundy's done this before. Do you guys remember a name that became pretty popular in college football as the defensive coordinator he hired like 10 years ago from a Division II school? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I didn't know where he had come from. Mike Yurcich from Shippensburg. He was a Division II guy back in 2013. Turned out to be okay.
I was the OC at Penn State, right? That's where he is, Craig? Yurcich?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he's been a couple different places. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of people going, wow, kind of a big move. But sometimes if you can coach, you can coach. I think some of the college football world waits too long on the North Dakota State guys. I think people have waited too long on some of the Sam Houston State coaches. I think people wait too long because, what can they do? But look what Kalen DeBoer did at Fresno State and Washington after a couple years after coming up from Division II. Sometimes you just need the opportunity. If you're running an efficient program, without the resources, what can you do with resources is often something I think people should look at.
Shippensburg was where Yurcich was. He went to Oklahoma State and spent like 5 or 6 years. From the time he was at that level, he's been to Oklahoma State, Ohio State, Texas, and now Penn State. So it's like those are three blue bloods, along with Oklahoma State, of course, which is a team that's right there in the middle of it when it comes to the Big 12. So he's done this before, and so Nardo now is the co-defensive coordinator with Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it's hard to go wrong with guys who have been at Youngstown State. That's got a pretty good coaching tree. And, as far as the lower levels and all that go, I mean, that prevents me from really trying to make too much of a judgment on this hire on the surface. Like, I know that the thing to do is like, oh, that's an A grade hire, or that's a D. I don't know. I don't know enough about the guy. Like, I'll just – give it up to Mike Gundy. He's made some great hires in the past. Some of them haven't worked out as well. But I don't really, balk too much at where the guy came from. The Big 12's had no problem hiring Texas high school football coaches to be like, major assistants and now a head coach in Lubbock and probably more to come. But I'm not really too worried. If you can coach ball, you can coach ball. Sure, there's going to be some adjustments. Sure, I think it's fair to ask the recruiting question of, how are they in that space? But as far as X's and O's and knowing football, I'm sure the guy is pretty good. And I think probably the fact that we don't know about him is a testament to probably that he's pretty good, because I don't think it's always just the popular name that everybody knows is the right hire to make. So, again, a fascinating offseason for Oklahoma State where, there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of personnel, a lot of coaching that's, gone in and out that door. And, the dust is still kind of unsettled at this point. But it will be fascinating to see, again, I say this every time we bring them up, like he's either on the verge of just remaking this thing and, everybody begging for forgiveness for all the salty things they said this past year, or he's lost his mind and he's at the end of his rope in Stillwater. I mean, I really think that, that's where we are. But that's an interesting hire. Certainly not one that many would have pegged, and we'll see how he does.
McMuffin jumped in.